Today, Congressman Ro Khanna attended the deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell and then was allowed to see the unredacted Epstein files. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, what was your takeaway from the deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, she provided no answers. I mean, for 8 hours, she was giving Todd Blanche every answer that he wanted. And yet when it came to simple questions, such as, did she see other people rape underage girls, she pleaded the Fifth Amendment, even though that's not self-incriminating. And what was so offensive is she said, I'll tell you the names if you give me clemency. She needs to go back to the maximum security prison.
What about finding out how she got her transfer from the maximum security prison?
Well, she said that that was self-incriminating, and that actually probably is self-incriminating. But the reality is that neither her lawyer or she wanted to answer any questions, and they just had a blanket Fifth Amendment. And I saw Ranking Member Garcia's earlier segment. He's absolutely right. They doctored what the video was that they put out. They need to put out the full video. But this was a total game by Comer, and they're basically letting Maxwell slide.
After that, you go over to see the unredacted Epstein files, and what do you find?
Well, let me actually break some news here right now, because the DOJ has now unredacted things at Massie and my request. We saw that there were 6 men whose names were inappropriately redacted, and Massie and I flagged this for the DOJ, and now they've actually put those identities out there for the public. Here's the problem, Lawrence, though. I mean, members can go and call out these mistakes and have them make it public, but there's something much broader that I hope people will understand. In March, Donald Trump ordered the FBI to scrub these files. He ordered them to redact these files. They sent those scrubbed files to DOJ. And so the person at DOJ said to Massie and me, we just uploaded these files. We already got them redacted. So the core issue is that they're not complying with Massie and my law because these were scrubbed back in March by Donald Trump's FBI.
And your law is directed at both the FBI specifically and the Department of Justice. So Justice can't say, well, they arrived at us redacted. That doesn't answer what the law requires.
It doesn't. In fact, we explicitly call out the FBI in the law. And as you know, the FBI director reports to Pam Bondi. And so the issue is, were there mistakes made with DOJ? Yes. And Massie and I actually pointed out 6 identity issues which were protected and now are revealed. But that's not the bigger issue. What the American people really want to know is what was redacted by the FBI in March. That's where you have the survivors' statements to the FBI agents, still redacted. That's where you have the prosecution memo of why charges weren't brought, still redacted. And that's the real scandal. That's the real cover-up here.
Congressman Massie said before these redacted names got unredacted that the names of at least 6 men have been redacted that are likely incriminated. Was that your reading of those parts of the files?
That was my reading, that they're serious allegations. I mean, they're as part of the co-conspirator list. There are 2 things that were a bit sloppy. One, all women basically were redacted. Now, in some cases, maybe that's to protect survivors, and some of them were survivors and also perhaps implicated. But some of the women actually did illegal things, and it seemed like DOJ just had all the women. But then Massie and I found that there were some of the men who were named as co-conspirators whose identity was also redacted. But the people at Justice, they were acting in good faith. They were trying to help us do the searches. And then Massie and I kept saying, yeah, but it's still redacted. And they said, sir, what can we do? We got the documents this way. And so this is just a game. There were maybe hundreds of attorneys, U.S. attorneys at Southern District of New York reviewing it in good faith, but they were reviewing documents that had already been scrubbed.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.